here's a safe harbor slide, which you haven't seen. Okay, so Root Capital is a nonprofit organization based in Cambridge, Massachusetts that leverages social impact investing to grow rural prosperity in poor, environmentally vulnerable places throughout Latin America and Africa. To maximize the positive impact of our work, we utilize a three-pronged strategy: finance, advise, and catalyze. Through finance, we lend capital to small and growing agricultural businesses that might not otherwise be able to obtain credit. Through advise, we further support these businesses by providing financial training. In 2014, we're on track to finance almost 300 businesses, which represent 700,000 farmers and more than 3 million household members. Since this represents less than 1% of the world's farmers, we have a catalyzed strategy, which is set up to influence the larger ecosystem by sharing what we've learned with others. So that said, I'm very pleased to be here today to share a loan management application that we built in Salesforce. Root Capital was founded in 1999, and for the first 8 years or so, it managed all of its loan data within Excel. Starting in 2007, we acquired Salesforce as our first CRM. Shortly thereafter, we launched our original loan management system, which was an online proprietary database written in PHP. And the primary purpose was to manage our financial transactions for our loans. In 2009, we started using Salesforce to manage our lending pipeline and other data for our loans that was not financial transactions. Around this time, the conversation started about whether or not we would need to replace the original loan management system. It had significant limitations, including reporting capabilities, and the calculation of interest had some issues. So we researched some alternative solutions, and in 2011 we decided to put all of our loan transactions into Salesforce. This decision was primarily made based on the level of customization and flexibility that Salesforce offers, and Root Capital ultimately needed a platform that could grow and scale along with the organization. The original development took about 1.5 years, and we required an external consultant that had Apex and Visualforce skills. So for all of our advanced development work, we work with Jesse Grenfell, who's the CEO of Cloudy IT based in Brooklyn, New York. We officially launched loan transactions in Salesforce in December 2012 and retired the old system. And this represented a major milestone since for 4 years we've been managing all of our loan data in 2 separate databases. Since that time, we've been constantly developing new features and functionality in Salesforce, many of which rely on Apex and Visualforce. So like many other Salesforce customers, we use Salesforce to manage our pipeline. So for us, our leads represent potential borrowers, which then convert into opportunities, which represent potential loans. During the potential loan stages, our loan officers perform due diligence on the borrowers and underwrite the loan. The final loan proposal is directly submitted in Salesforce for approval, and if the loan's approved, we finalize the loan terms on the opportunity, and then once we've received all the required documentation, we'll formally close the loan and get ready to disperse money. So once we have our closed loans, we start to track a lot of additional information which supports our disbursement, servicing, monitoring, and reporting processes. So each of the colored rectangles that you see here represents a separate custom object that's directly related to the opportunity. In conjunction with Salesforce, we continue to use Excel and several other cloud-based applications to manage our comprehensive portfolio. For example, we built a custom report within Salesforce that allows us to export our loan transaction data in the general journal format so we can easily import it into Intact, our accounting system. So here you can see the same custom objects as they appear as related lists on the opportunity records. And so this makes it very easy for the users to go in and navigate to the records that underlie the loan. Unfortunately, it means our pages have gotten quite long, and I couldn't put them all into one slide. So next we're going to go through a short demonstration, which is really just a small aspect of what we've built. Please note that this does not represent an actual borrower, but is simply an example for illustrative purposes. So for this case, we're going to look at Kigali Coffee, which is a private farm based in Rwanda. They purchase coffee cherries from local farmers and manage a washing station to prepare the coffee cherries for export to a roaster. Many of Root Capital's loans are structured around the harvest season, and we do this so that the businesses have cash on hand and are available to pay the farmers directly when they receive their product, rather than having to wait several months to be compensated. And this is really where we drive our impact by directly being able to pay the farmers and their households earlier. So the other unique aspect of our loans is that rather than take hard collateral, we often base our financing on purchase contracts between the borrower and the buyers in their supply chain. So it's very common for us to receive a payment directly from a buyer on behalf of the borrower. Okay, so in this case, we have a $100,000 line of credit, and this was based on 2 contracts that they have with their buyer, Northeast Specialty Coffee. So here you can see at the top of our opportunity record the View Loan Schedule button, and this redirects the user to a custom Visualforce page, which is our loan schedule. The loan schedule is where all of the loan transactions are displayed, and this is where all of them are added and updated directly within the system. So here we've received a payment from Northeast Specialty Coffee for $70,000 on September 29th in relation to one of the contracts. So when we add that payment further down the page, this section represents all of the occurred transactions. You can see in the green box where the payment has been added for $70,000, and then below that there's an orange line. This represents the transfer of remaining funds transaction, which is automatically created by the system. So based on the loan structure for Kigali Coffee, we're only going to withhold about 70% of the payment. So this amount is applied towards principal and interest, and then the remaining funds are actually transferred back to the borrower. So in this case, we sent about $15,000 back to Kigali Coffee. Based on the level of flexibility that we require when processing our transactions, the loan schedule page was designed in such a way that we're able to add, edit, and update multiple transactions at the same time. We're also able to manually override the default behavior to adjust principal, interest, and fees as necessary. And then finally, you'll notice this little recalculate button. So this allows us to make changes to the page, recalculate the entire schedule, and review the information before the data is saved and committed to Salesforce. This is another part of the loan schedule page where we have an overview of the loan balance. So when we originally launched, it was very simple, and you just got this. Over time, we've added new features which have allowed us to include information about payments, delinquency, and risk. So this is the loan balance section before the payment was processed. If you notice the highlighted areas, this is the same balance section after the payment was processed, and all of the information has been updated accordingly. So the final step in processing a payment is to generate an account statement for the borrower. And to do this, we use Conga to merge our Salesforce data into our account statement templates. The account statement and a few other documents that we use to communicate with our borrowers are available via custom links on the opportunity record. Okay, so where are we today? Overall, it's been a huge success. We've been in constant development for more than 3 years, and we've invested a couple $100,000 between staff and consultant time. It's been really great to have all of the lending data centralized in one location, and our staff really like being able to go in and access the information and run reports as needed. So for example, our fundraising team can go in and get information about our loans to share with our donors and our investors. We do still have some work left. We lend in multiple currencies, but our Salesforce currently can only handle US dollar transactions, which means we have to do some offline work for any of our loans in foreign currency. And then most recently, our project earlier this year, we essentially doubled the amount of transaction data we have in Salesforce. And so we're finding that we're really pushing up against the limits of what's possible to kind of process and display on a single Visualforce page at one time. So over the next couple months, I'm going to be spending time analyzing what we've built so far to make sure it continues to meet our needs and research some alternatives to improve the user interface experience. So as a Salesforce administrator, I've learned a lot over the last couple of years. Most importantly, I found that you need to really balance the amount of time and effort you spend on developing new features and kind of maintaining your existing org. So this really makes it easier to introduce new things if your org is well maintained. Next, you want to make sure you have the right group of people to support your development projects. In addition to technical expertise from the Salesforce side, you're going to make sure you have somebody to manage the project, somebody that's really an expert on the business side of things, and then always make sure you have plenty of testers lined up to check out what you've done in the sandbox before you launch it in production. And then finally, I highly encourage everyone to document as much as possible. This is great for your end users so that they're able to perform their job every day. It's also helpful when you're engaging with external partners like a consultant. And then as an administrator, it's really helpful for me to be able to field ongoing requests